black people aren't getting married as much. They're not building families as much. The whole independent thing has become like a epidemic in the black community. Everyone wants to be independent, do their own thing. I don't need a man. I don't need a woman. And I believe that we need to get past that. We need to come to a place where we're not pointing the finger at everybody for what they're doing and start pointing the finger at ourselves and realize that we are a part of the problem. What is going on, everyone's? We are here and we are back with another episode of
Is My Point Valid?
Yes, indeed. And I'm Brandon D.
And I am Camille A. Stalker.
And like always, if you get any value from our content, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. Because like I always say, these are the conversations that need to be had to improve our community, the community, life in general. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into this episode with
Building Through Black Love. I forgot if we were filming.
We're filming.
All right, but building through black love.
All right. Now, the question comes up a lot, how we can improve the black community, how we can do better, how we can come together. And as I think about it, the only thing that I have seen that has changed majorly is the fact that black people aren't getting married as much. They're not building families as much. The whole independent thing has become like a epidemic in the black community. Everyone wants to be independent, do their own thing. I don't need a man. I don't need a woman. And I believe that we need to get past that. We need to come to a place where we're not pointing the finger at everybody for what they're doing and start pointing the finger at ourselves and realize that we are a part of the problem. So we need to start doing things differently. We need to come together. We are supposed to be interdependent, not be independent. And I feel like if those things were achieved, then we would be better off as a people.
Mm-hmm. Right. Episode over. But you said like that black people aren't getting married. I know we're talking about black love, right? But
yeah,
it's everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
It is everybody. We are in a state of nobody wants to get married. Nobody wants to be committed. And so, but I think for the black community, or it has been more, I don't know if it's more detrimental.
From our perspective, it has been.
Right.
Because we are black, so we're speaking to the black people, but these issues also affect everyone.
Right.
So it would be more detrimental on our front that black people aren't acting the tradition, being traditional as what was before. I feel like all of the destruction with the black youth, all of the twerking, all of the shooting and killing each other, I feel like that is a factor of black love. I don't think children are seeing love, are seeing togetherness within their homes. So that infiltrates everything else that they have going on. When they go out into the real world, it's like, well, I never seen this, so I'm not going to give it off, or I don't even know to give it off because I've never seen it before.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you're right. But I think when we say building through black love, I don't necessarily think, because I can't remember who I was watching, but it was kind of like you do need a mother and a father.
Absolutely.
But if you don't have those things, then we need to grab a hold of others.
There are alternatives.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be active in other children's lives and not be, so like, let's take, for example, like boys playing football. Like a lot of boys who play football, their dad, they probably come from a single parent home, which is their mom. And so they go to football and, coaches be cussing. Like,
yes,
that is cursed.
That's their way of communicating.
Yeah. Now, I get the point. So I'm not trying to whatever. But what if that is all that boy is getting from his mama too? You get what I'm saying? Like you MFer, you did
you ain't
like,
shizzle
nothing.
Yeah.
And so you like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot. And to stay on the football thing, and it's boys who might be overwhelmed, and then you see that this is how I have to act as a man, or they could grow up and become a coach. Well, this is how my coach did me, right? Like,
that's that trickle down effect,
right? So it's all like, for me, it's dysfunctional. I think
so. We need to be more responsible as adults, so children can understand that responsibility of talking to people like you got some sense.
Yeah,
treating people like you. Like you have some sense.
Right, because and essentially a coach will say, I'm talking to you because I want to build character in you and all these things, right?
So what character are you building?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is my point valid?
Straight up.
Like, right? And so if you're coming from a single parent home and you're going into, you are getting that woman and you are getting that man, but then what really gets me is they'll say, I'm doing this out of love. Like, what's coming out of my mouth, I'm doing it out of love because I love you. If I'm not harsh with you, then that means I don't love you. If I don't kind of tear you down, that means I don't love you. Yeah. But that's not true.
And then they also say, I'm tearing you down to build you up.
To build you up. No, you tearing me down.
But I don't think children, I don't think they understand that.
Your brain's not developed.
So what they're seeing.
Grown folks don't even know that.
Absolutely. What they're seeing in it ultimately is all of the negative.
Yes. So
that goes back to when they get older or they get into the world, they perpetuate the same things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I just had that thought, but it's all, we talk about being disconnected, right? And they're not disconnecting, or they're not learning, or all this, and all, all the books that I read, and you can understand, okay, well, if a child's not being taught this, but they're being taught that, well, why aren't they on the same level as somebody who is who is white, somebody who is Hispanic? Why aren't my children reaching that potential, right? Because I think in Black love, you are trying to constantly prove that you are Black.
Yeah.
You are constantly saying, I am Black, I have to be this certain way. Mm-hmm. Instead of, I am a person, I need to operate, just how a person operates. Through Black love, we did an episode. I think it was our first episode or second episode, where we had a conversation about Black love, and I was just on some James Baldwin stuff. Because he was like, the Black man leaves because this and this and this, but it's like, when are we going to stop with that narrative? When is the man, and if we say Black man, but when is the man going to stand up and say, nope, I ain't listening to what you saying, I'm staying right here and I'm going to stand my ground? And then it's like, that goes back to that submission thing, right? And you can't be ugly to a person, you can't be like mean to a person, but you do have to stand your ground.
Stand firm.
Right. Excuse me. Right. So if that is if you stand firm and you like, I'm not leaving because my children need me.
Yeah.
Or I'm not leaving because you need me. Like, we gonna work this out.
And that goes to both parties. So the man and the woman have to be understanding. They have to have, they need to be on the same page.
And that's what it lacks. There's no understanding.
There's no understanding. Everybody wants to do their own thing.
Yeah.
And I think within relationships, I think people have the whole submission thing mixed up. They confuse submission with superiority, leadership with superiority. When I say things like we're not equal, they think I'm downing the woman or whatever, but
we're not equal.
We're not equal. We're not the same.
I can't do what Brandon does, and so we come from the example, right? I for both of us, we've both come from the example of 2-parent home, mother and father who are both Black. Okay, they're both Black, but we've come from that, and so now we've kind of picked and have chosen what we want to model for our marriage, right? What it is that we want to model for our daughters, what it is that we want to model for ourselves. And so that is like, I know that I have a voice, right? But how many...
And it's not coerced by me.
But how many... It really is not. But how many women don't have a voice because hear me out, y'all. You don't have a voice because you've lowered what you think that you should be. And then you allow this man to feel like he is over you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you one thing, Brandon sure as heck, he is the head of the household. He is the head. But
I never make you feel like I'm above you. I'm not superior to you.
But there was a time, that's why I said there was a time when I felt that you were.
Was that your feelings?
That's what I was saying. Women will lower ourselves to make ourselves think, oh, he's just doing that because he wants to control me.
Yeah.
He doesn't want me to do this because, and it's like, well, okay, first off, did you have a conversation?
Yeah.
Did you we talked about it last week. Did you take your feelings out of it and really see like the situation as a whole? Because for me, I stand firm in a lot of things, right? I don't back down. So that's one thing I'm not. I ain't no punk. I don't back down. I stand really, really firm in what it is that I believe. But even though I do that, I still have to show my husband respect. And I think a lot of women don't. And
that's why there's a lot of separation. The women they don't want to be led by the man, and the man, a lot of men aren't leaders. And that's why the role of a woman has become like a leader. So that's why I say it's not it shouldn't be a blame game. It should be an accountability game, a responsibility game. We should be looking at ourselves and figuring what we can do better to improve the situation, whatever it may be. And I don't think people are ready for that. No, because that means to change, right? To change your mindset, to really change your mindset on how you think, what your role is, submitting, letting go of maybe some type of hurt or whatever somebody may have done you or something like that. You have to let go of that. And I think there is a lot of trauma of that in the Black community because we talk about society a lot, right? And so one of the things that I think that happens in society or in the Black community is we are very, I'm gonna say this, promiscuous. Absolutely. And when I say promiscuous, I mean we didn't like. I'm gonna do what I do. Yeah. Forget you. And then so that's how there's teenage pregnancy. There's other there's pregnancies in general. That's why abortions. Yes. And that's why relationships are working because women are with men who don't want anything to do with them. And they've said, I don't want anything to do with you, but you go on with it anyway. And then you produce this child, right? Or you produce and then the cycle continues because it's continually happening. And then you blame the man when he's clearly told you his intentions. And then you take that with every other relationship that you encounter. And so with that, before that, because there's no, like in the Bible, in Titus 2, it tells older women that older women should lead the younger women, right? So I don't think there's enough older women mentoring or guiding younger girls or whatever to really know what to do. One of the podcasts I was listening today was like how to find peace. Like, how are you choosing peace? I also think that the elderly are sick of this generation as well. Right, but who was I watching? I've been watching so much stuff, but the point that person was making was saying, is it our fault or is it their fault? Because you created us. Yeah. So we're millennials. Yeah, we're millennials. So the point that person was making was saying, if there were latchkey children, like everybody who grew up in the 90s, we kind of have the same childhood. Kind of not me. Like, and that's crazy. And I know I don't because my mama was there. Yeah. My mother was there for the most part. I would never consider myself a latchkey kid because. But when I say latchkey, I mean like single parent family. Well, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is. Yeah, both of them are working. And you gotta get home by yourself. Yeah. You gotta do your homework. You gotta fix your food, and then mom and daddy get off work. And so I didn't grow up like that. And so when my best friend did. So that was a different world for me because I was like, well, So what type of person are they now?
I think they're I don't know. I think they're a person who has grown to come into their own or whatever. But I didn't grow up like that. And so when people would talk to me, they would kind of be they would kind of be ugly and jealous. Because I am envious of what I came from. I'm like, it ain't my fault. Like it's
you got a mama and your daddy.
You got a mama and daddy. And it's like, it's not my fault. And so I didn't understand. I don't even like to say that is a privilege. But now in today's terms, it probably is a privilege. Yeah. If you look at the girls today, it is a privilege. And so I think that has a lot to do with it of mothers having to work, fathers having to work, and not being available all the time to have conversations, because that was one of the things that I could do with my mama. If anything was wrong, I could go have a conversation with her.
Mm-hmm. But I also think that promiscuity is the reason why a lot of these women are single.
Oh yeah, that's what my point. The older women aren't having sex education talks with them. Like, you go to school and you learn like how to use sanitary napkins or what sex is, what this is. And so you're not having this conversation with your mother, who I think is the most important person who you should have that conversation with, because, hey, this is what's going to happen if you do this. And this is what, there is not this conversation. And so if older women aren't having that conversation with girls, are older men having the conversation with younger boys?
I don't think so.
Or is it like in movies where they like, oh, that's you? That's you, nephew?
Because in most cases, the father's not around. Between prison, the streets, and I don't want to be involved, the whole fatherhood has gone down. There's not a lot of fathers out there who are actually taking care of their business, involved in their children's lives, showing up for their children. And I feel like that is a result of not taking accountability. Not being there I got 2 daughters, and there's no way I would just leave them out in this world to fend for themselves. Even if I had boys, I know what it is out here. And most parents or fathers or mothers, they know what it is out here. So why wouldn't you teach your young ones about the consequences of not knowing?
Right. And it all starts with conversation, right?
Exactly.
Just like right here, it's like we're having a conversation. So we have all that. We know all the woes of what the Black community entails, right? So how do you build through Black love? What would be the solution to build with Black love? What do we all need to bring to the table?
Accountability.
Before that, how do we get people to the table? How do we say, I need you, coach over here, I need you to come into this boy's life and like, or what do we do?
Conversation. We have to hold each other accountable. We have to call on people who are in those positions and kind of steer them into doing better. Because like you said, even if they are a coach, they have influence over these children.
Coach, and teacher.
If they're not bringing the right influence, then it's doing more harm than it is good, because you're actually teaching them the wrong things.
But there's a lot of that happening in today, where a lot of wrong things are being taught, period, right? We can tell children, well, you need to follow my example. If I'm on TikTok all day, if I'm on YouTube all day, if I'm on my phone all day, and I'm telling you, hey, go do your work, get your work done.
Yeah, we need to lead by example.
So how do we change that?
Good question.
See, and we talk about mindset and we talk about accountability, but if we don't want to be accountable, because in order to be accountable, you have to look at yourself.
Yes.
And you have to take that all in. And a lot of us, we don't like ourselves.
No.
So if we don't like ourselves, that's kind of difficult to say, I want to teach this young child to be amazing.
Better them. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To be amazing, to reach for the stars, to be a doctor, to be an engineer, to be an architect, not just a football player or a basketball player or shoot, hey, go to the MLB. But you know, like,
that's where the money is.
That's where, I mean, right? I don't think there's enough black kiddos playing baseball. They want to play football. But anyhow, we have to look in the mirror, and that's a hard pill to swallow. I
also believe that we need people who are in those positions to come to the aid of younger ones, the doctors, the engineers, because they don't see that. If they're seeing nothing but football, basketball,
and that's who's going into schools.
Exactly. Athletes.
Last Friday, he's an ex-NBA player. Shaquille O'Neal was at a school in Houston. And I was like, okay, he is a businessman and he got
restaurants out here.
Yeah. But my point is, I guess for our generation, what do I know Shaquille O'Neal from? Playing basketball. Yeah. I know he has business ventures, but is he going into the school and saying, hey, I do this, or we need, or, you know, like, because
most people don't know that he owns businesses.
Right.
Most people don't know that he owns over like 40 businesses. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows him for basketball. So like you say, is he just going into school preaching basketball or preaching sports?
Right.
Or is he giving them an overall perspective of this, you can do this, and this?
But his mindset is different too, just from watching his documentary. Yeah. He said, I wanted to be a rapper. I wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to be all this. So his mindset, you know, it's different.
But he also grew up in a military home.
Yeah.
He was exposed to a lot more. Mm-hmm. When you grow up in inner city, there's not that much exposure. Mm. So he's kind of different. Now, somebody who grew up in the inner city, I don't think that their mind is so focused on, because if you grow up in the inner city, your mind when you go to school is, how can I get up out of here the quickest? The quickest solution is basketball, football, or a rapper.
And we need to have, like you said, there needs to be like farmers coming into the school, ranchers, doctors, nurses, even what are they? LVNs, I believe.
Representation matters. Yeah, in that sense, it does.
It does.
We need to see people who look like us doing those things, so we can see that it's possible. If we're not seeing it, then we don't even know the possibilities.
Bankers, CEO of banks, like I don't know if people know there's a black bank in Houston. Like there are these things, and so we could reach out and set up a whole thing of, you know, this is a meet and greet. Yeah. Let's bring these children to meet and greets, and hey, you work at the local hospital. Like, a lot of black people do not talk about Ben Carson because of what he affiliates with politically, but that guy, like, every black child should know about Ben Carson. Yeah. Every black child should know about him. Like, every black child knows about President Barack Obama, but you know, you should know about.
There's a lot of black people, the black intellectuals, black scholars that black children should know about, but that goes back to sports.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be somebody's responsibility to bring these things to the children.
Well, it's all of our responsibility.
Absolutely.
And we have to, I think one time we were having a conversation, and we were kind of like, well, how do we bring people together? And I think somebody in the comments was kind of like, well, you are saying they and us and them and blah, blah, blah. But it is like, it is an us, it is a they, it is a them. And I'm not really talking about them pronouns. I'm talking about the grouping of black people and what it is. Yeah. So first off, I didn't mean it by being disrespectfully, but with that, the theys and the us's and the thems, we are selective in who we want to be around.
Absolutely.
So if we don't want to fool with them,
we're going to call them a them.
Right.
They ain't us.
They're not.
They ain't a we.
They're not somebody who I would want to associate with. Yeah. And so if you come to me and be like, well, I'm not comfortable with that, so why would I force you, right? To be like, Rodney, can we all just get along? That's not realistic.
That's not.
It's not realistic.
I'm scared of people who get along with everybody.
Yeah. That's like.
Well, they're not even scared. Like, ooh, I mean, like, it's a red flag if you cool with everybody. Yeah.
Like, I mean, you be respectful and all that, but you can go hold a conversation.
That means you don't stand for anything. You stand for everything.
You know, so that is like, people are selective, and we are very selective. There are so many businesses in Houston, Black businesses in Houston, there are so many rooms that come together that have like 15 people in this room and 15 people in this room. And then somebody in that group knows somebody in this group, but they won't come together and combine and say, hey, we can build a bigger space. And then there's another 15 over here that we know, because we are selective. And we don't believe in right now, or if you go back and watch any of our topics, our conversations, you will not agree with everything that I say. Nah. You definitely won't agree with everything that I say. But for me, I'm not going to agree with everything that you say, but I could see your perspective, right? And I could have respect for you and be like, but would that stifle me away from wanting to work with you? Nah. Should it?
I mean, it depends on how contrasting the beliefs are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it has to. But a lot of the groups that I'm seeing, it's the same.
It's the same people.
The alignment of it is the same. So I'm like, why y'all not
working together?
Why are you not working together? And you're being selective. So I'm being selective. And I ain't working with you. So and look at that. That is detrimental to us. Because of this mindset.
We too selective. We want to fool with this person and this person. But what if that next person that you ain't fooling with is the one you need in your circle?
Right. Absolutely.
So I believe we won't even give people a chance based on
what you feel.
You feel, your feelings.
Based on what you feel. Your emotions. Based on what you feel. I can't do that because I feel like this. Well, is it about us or is it about the younger generation? Because we can continue to not fool with one another and be selective, and they will continue to do the same thing. Well, I can't fool with them because of this and this and this and this.
And they'll even take it further and try to cause harm on you because they don't fool with you. That's how children been doing these days. If you ain't down for what they down for, then you are out.
So the children today, those are the ones that we should be focused on
the ones that are coming up, because we clearly see the younger, like from 18 to 25, they be wilding out. They out here in these streets doing some foolishness, the boys and the girls.
So what have we been busy doing for them to be in this position?
Staying divided. The children haven't been shown unity. They haven't been shown community. They haven't been shown love. So they're not going to associate with those things. That's why they're out here doing the things that they're doing. They don't love themselves. They don't love anyone around them. That's why black boys are shooting people and black girls are out here twerking and giving it up.
That is tough. And that's what I'm saying. How do we fix this? And then I always thought, in my little brain, my brain is big, that you fix the problem. And like I've seen a lot, I've heard this before, that you fix the problem by what you do in your household. So my thought has always been, all right, I'm a married woman. I have 2 girls. I don't know if I will have any more children, but if I do, then they will still be in a 2-parent household and I will raise them. This is the way that they should go, right? This is the way that you shall go. And when I put you out in the world, then you repeat that cycle.
Absolutely.
But I have high hopes, but how are my 2 girls
going to affect the majority?
Right.
That's kind of hard. I mean, I don't know, but I do know this. It has to start somewhere.
Yeah, it does. And it starts at home.
Exactly. And no matter how much we get into it, we ain't going nowhere. And I believe that in a lot of relationships, divorce and separation is too available. They're too quick to go for those things. If they have an argument, they don't agree on something, somebody feels a certain way, we're going to separate. Unreconcilable differences. All that is argument.
It's a lot of that happening, and it's a lot of it that's being in the forefront of everything. When you open up your phone and you go on Facebook,
and everybody
is divorced.
They can't reconcile.
That's my best friend. We still gonna be good because we have children together. But why didn't you make it work?
Exactly.
And of course, I know there's some things that are not going to work. But why aren't you making it work? Yeah. Right.
And in a lot of relationships, we get into these relationships before we realize or understand who the person is. I think we should take a little bit more time to understand our partner before we start making lifetime decisions on whether we want to be with them or not. We're out here signing on to things that we don't completely understand, and by the time you realize what it is. Y'all have a child together.
I think you don't. You do know what it is. I think you marry because you go into it thinking you're going to change somebody, and that person. And
you have a baby for the same reason.
And the person is going to continue to be the same person who they are. Yeah, right. If you don't go into marriage solely understanding what marriage is, and I think that's lost in it, as well as if you want to build the Black love, the Black community, people need to understand what marriage is. And marriage is not just a piece of paper. Marriage is not what you see celebrities do. That is not what marriage is. It's not a
man-made thing.
It's not man-made.
Marriage did not come from man
at all. So, I can give you the spill. God created Adam. And God put Adam to sleep and took his rib, and that made a woman, and Adam named her woman because she came from the man, right? And that's Eve. And then you got the curse, and then you keep going and you keep going. Like it's y'all, the Bible is really about bloodline to get to Jesus. But you see these things, and it's like, oh well, I have to do this because this celebrity is doing, and that's a lot of what children are like. The access to technology. So we have these voices now because everybody has a podcast, right? Absolutely. Everybody is on YouTube. Everybody's trying to get them videos up, right? And so how do you reach the youth through those things? Because the youth is sitting around watching whatever it is. I don't know, because I'm not on there. I don't know what the youth is watching.
That's why it's important when you come across information like this to share it with people who you feel can benefit from it. So all of the nonsense needs to be shunned. We need to have real conversations about real solutions to the problems that we're having, and stop looking at all of the problems, because most of the things that are on the internet are full of issues, full of problems. And if we keep pushing that, we quick to have those videos at 10,000, 100,000 views.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
You share it, and it's viral.
It's like we're addicted to foolishness.
That is. It's an addiction.
We're addicted to violence. We're addicted to seeing someone fall, and not physically fall, but fall off. Like all of those things are addictive to us, and we need to change that mindset, because that's devastating. That's not going to help us get anywhere. And people who having the conversations about going somewhere, about community, about building, y'all don't push that stuff.
You're right. It's not pushed.
I guess it's not that important to you, but that's the problem. It ain't that important to you. And it needs to become a lot more important, because we are suffering. Black people are suffering. Everybody's suffering.
Everybody's suffering, but the Black community
community is suffering because we're the ones who are the most politically disenfranchised, socially disenfranchised, financially. We are the ones who need the unity the most. And we're not getting it because people don't want to come together. They don't want to start working with each other. We always see the faults in everybody without looking at ourselves. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility. We just out here doing whatever we want to do. And that is going to continue to keep us in a place where everybody else is going to be ahead of us.
Yeah, unless we change and like you said, perspective as well. Our perspective of how things are run. How do we change it? And then we talk about, there is going to be an election year. The election year is coming up. But the big stuff isn't really what changes, right? I mean, it does change. But we have to kind of teach our children to vote vote locally. Know who you're voting for. Don't just vote for Black. Because here's the thing that will help the Black community as well. Everybody who is Black isn't necessarily for us, right?
Some of these people are being coerced.
They might have went into it thinking, I can change, right? Because that's the easy... I'm not saying it's the easy thing to do. They do want to go in and change because of every situation.
But the system is so corrupt that by the time they get into the system, they're being swayed into...
Do I do the right or do I do the left? And and what I mean right and wrong. Yeah. Like, this is wrong. This is morally wrong, but I have to do this. And then I
think people operate out of fear when they get into the system, because they'll oust you if you don't do what they're doing.
Yes.
And most of the time they're doing wrong.
So, and then that's when we need to, said fear. There's a lot of fear, I think. We won't stand up and we won't stand firm.
That's because we don't have nobody to back us. Every time we stand for something, everybody else is like, "Oh no, we don't want to do that."
Right, and so then you get knocked down, and you're
because you're by yourself.
You're by yourself, or you get you're canceled because people don't agree with what it is, and you could be right is right, standing on God's word, right, and they're like, "No, what we say goes." And that sucks.
And one thing that I realized, even on YouTube, wherever we're posting these videos, the people who do agree, they don't want to put their name on it, so they'll just hit a like, but they won't say, "I agree with this." They won't blatantly say, "This is right. I believe what you believe." But you have the people who don't believe what you believe. They are the loudest.
Yeah, they are very loud. They are very loud.
It's almost like we're out here by ourselves because people are liking, but they're not saying anything.
I was watching Bodie Bacham, and he had a sermon, and he was saying I can't remember what this sermon was called, but he said, I want to be liked. I want to be liked.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychopath. I want to be liked. But the work that he has to do means he has to stand with what God says.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not. And for a lot of the time, in my mind, I feel like I've stood on it. But I not anymore really, because how can you shy away when I'm on the mic every week and I'm saying something and people are like, "She said that?" Yes, I said it. Yep. But I used to be shy about that because I always felt different, and I don't know how to explain the different. But people would talk, and I'd be like, "Well, I don't feel that way."
Yeah,
I don't feel that way, and I wouldn't say anything. I just like, "You feel that way, but okay, I'm gonna just be quiet." And like I just took my quietness as, "Well, I'm gonna keep it to myself because I don't agree with you." But I feel I should have spoke up because then they would know my perspective.
Absolutely,
they would know. Oh, Camille's not,
and that may put something on their brain that they never thought about.
Right. So speak up if you do agree, if you do not agree. You
don't always have to say something.
And have civil conversations.
Absolutely. Don't insult people.
Don't insult. Just be like, "Oh, I never thought of it like this.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way, but this is what I see it as, or this is my take on it. This is how I took it." Because we all have different perspectives. Even for people who read the Bible, they take it completely different. I don't know how, but this is completely different. We can read the same book, and the message that you receive is something else. It's like, okay, I didn't get that. Because, that when people would do book reports in school and stuff, and you talk about it, well, what is the irony of this? Well, this and this and this, and then somebody say something else. I didn't think that one. I didn't think about that part. Yeah. So I think that's how we're supposed to be working today. But we get so caught up in arguments. We get so caught up in our skin color. We get so caught up in where we are in life. You're not on my level, so how you gonna tell me something? I only listen to this person because this person did this, but it's not like
we look at accolades and what people have accomplished, and we think that they're more valid because they have accomplished things. But everybody has a voice, so we need to start taking consideration into everyone to what everything that people are saying.
But does everybody's voice need to be heard?
Not at all. So that comes with discretion.
But does everybody's voice need to be? Somebody might feel like they don't need to hear my voice. Bye. But
straight up,
so that's what technology has changed, and that's why I'm saying it's so easy for children to pick up the phones or get on some type of device and say, "Hey, I saw this and this is wrong." That's why a lot of people today, not just Black people, everybody goes for everything. It's wrong.
Yeah, but because the majority of people who are saying something, and it's not even the majority, the minority of the people who are saying negative things, you just go with, and you think it's the majority because it's just those are the people who are saying something. But that is a small percentage of the people, because most people who are for God, who have morals, who have standards, they're scared to say anything because, like we said before, you might get canceled.
I can't go for that. No,
you're gonna have to counsel me.
Yeah, I mean,
because I ain't signing on to everything. I ain't agreeing with everybody.
Like, people don't understand. Like, why do you homeschool? Well, look, why do you do this?
So
well,
why you sitting?
Have you not seen what's happening?
Straight up,
like what is happening? I can't take that chance. I could take that chance, but I know
I won't.
Morally, that that's not what I want to do, so I don't do it. And I have the support of Brandon, and that goes back to the building in the home, right? Mm-hmm. Having the support of Black men,
being on the same page,
supporting Black women. Yep. I ain't gonna say protecting, supporting, having that support.
All of that is support. Protecting.
Yeah, but I'm saying, supporting, to actually hear her out. She might be talking reckless. Hey, let's calm down a minute. Let's talk this through. So, and being that example for children to see, oh, mommy and daddy might not be together, but they're talking it through. Yeah, that's beneficial for your children. It's beneficial for other children around. It's beneficial for how your child's day will go, how they will act at school, how they will act with other people of different ethnicities and all this stuff. How to teach that we are not better than anybody, right? Just because we and a lot of things that are being handed to us, we don't deserve. Like, that needs to be a thing as well. We got to tell the truth, and the first truth that you need to tell is reading the Bible. That God is God.
Straight up. And as far as parenting, stop downing the other parent in front of your children. They are taking that in, and whether it's the man or the woman, they will also have those same sentiments once they get older. So that if it's a girl going into be a woman, she gonna be like, I don't need men. Men ain't nothing. My daddy wasn't nothing. And if it's the other way around, the boys will be like, well, women ain't nothing. They all promiscuous. They all twerking. Exactly. We are fighting against each other.
That's what's happening right now. A person I watch, I skip over some of his stuff, and he talks that Christian stuff, but some of the things that come out of his mouth is like
questionable.
It's very questionable. Like, how in one breath can you say we're the Christian faith, and then in the next thing, I used to sit and do this, but I'm not like that anymore. But she's a hoe. Like, what? Like, how dare you?
You sound like a hoe.
Like, how dare you? Like, come on, and like, I don't know. It's all over the place, and so that person who does that, it's like people are watching, but then a lot of people are turning their backs because it's like you're contradicting what you're saying.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before people see you for what you really are.
And so you're trying to expose somebody.
Make sure your stuff lining up.
We are constantly trying to expose somebody else, but we're not looking at ourselves. And you can sit there and be like, I'm looking. You're
exposing yourself.
Have you looked in the mirror and are you really?
You need to go watch your videos.
Are you really reading the Bible to understand how this works? It says don't boast. And is it 1 Corinthians 3? I can't 4. I'm not sure, but in it says, Paul is saying, if you're gonna boast, then boast about Jesus. Yeah, boast about the Lord.
If you're gonna brag about the Lord. Don't brag about these human beings, because 9 times out of 10 they just saying things that using them buzzwords to get you going.
And so if young boys or young girls are watching it and they're saying, well, he's saying he's a Christian and this and this, like, that is stupid, because it's counterproductive. Is that the right word?
Yes, it is.
We're trying to win. Win. We want to win. We have to build this up. We have to stop being selective. I don't know how that's going to work, but we need to come to the table. We need to pull up our chairs and we need to discuss this and have our children play together and say, I don't know.
And even though these things affect everybody, Black people, stop worrying about everybody.
Worry about yourself.
Worry about yourself and the people that you affect and are affected by you. That's what we need to be focused on. Check your family. First. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because we wrecking ourselves. Goodness gracious. But yeah.
Oh, I got it. Like a wrecking ball.
Yes. Wrecking yourself.
I got it.
All right.
Came in like a wrecking ball. That was Miley Cyrus.
Lord have mercy. But yeah, we need to start coming together. We need to be more focused on interdependence than the independence. We need to come together, work together, stop downing your baby mothers and your baby fathers. All of that has got to stop, because we need to build.
What if they ain't no good? No.
You still don't down them.
I know.
You just let them do what they do.
I was being funny.
Yeah. But that's what's gonna help us build. We need to get back to marriage. We need to get back to loving one another. We need to get back to respecting one another. And all of those things will help us value each other.
Value our lives. Value the next Black person. Because if you don't want to lose you if you don't want to lose nobody in your family, don't allow anybody else to be harmed, because there's a lot of us that are being harmed.
Stop placing yourself in situations you ain't supposed to be in.
So let's value each other's lives. That might be number one, to value each other's lives, and stop with these rap songs. Stop with the
devil music.
The devil music. Stop with killing.
Like I seen that short. He talking about we go in the club listening to devil music and wonder why we in there fighting and stuff.
Because what remember?
The Nuck If You Buck and all the Trillville and BME and all, man, we used to be in the club listening to all this music, and the music was telling you to knock somebody out.
And you drinking, you smoking, popping something,
and then you end up knocking somebody out.
You hear a song that's telling you that you ain't never scared, and then you
get on my level. Get on.
Come in the club, shake him, dress. Wow.
And it's even worse these days. They tell you to kill somebody.
Yeah, and that was my point. Like we need to value other people.
Stop pushing the foolishness. Stop standing with the foolishness. Go find you some Christian music,
man, because it's a beautiful thing.
I'm trying to tell you, it sure ain't gonna have you hating somebody. It's gonna have you loving somebody.
Crying.
I'm trying to tell you.
Thank you, Jesus.
It's convicting.
Man.
Straight
and I
up.
listen to the same songs every freaking day, and I just...
The tears just come over me.
Man, because I know we're about to wrap up, but the girls and I listen to a podcast on Fridays, and the podcast we've been listening to is playing a song that goes with their message. And so the song was Royalty, and it's like, I am royalty. I was trying to
keep it together,
man, because I've heard the song hundreds of times.
It hit different when you start really listening to the words that are being said. It hit different.
I was like, oh my goodness, I ain't want to cry.
Yeah,
but listen to some Christian music. And you said leave the devil music alone.
Leave that devil music alone.
And find value in our lives and other people's lives, because our lives are valuable.
Yes, they are. And we need to start valuing people, respecting people, loving people, and we'll get to a better place.
And meet people where they at. We're not going to agree with everybody, right? Everybody's opinion is going to be different. Perspective, mindset, it's going to be different. But
and like my boy Voter Backham say, he say, stop trying to police people.
We talking about the same person.
Straight up. Stop trying to police people. It ain't your business to be out here trying to police people. And I'm talking to myself on this one, because I be trying to call people out on their foolishness.
I'm so glad you got it.
Straight up. It ain't my business to try to convict you.
Right.
I could just give you the word. If you take it, you do. If you don't, oh well, I give it to the next person.
Amen.
We here to spread the word, no matter if you receive it or you don't.
Right.
So that being said, thank you to everyone who continues to lock in with us, rock with us. We're going to continue to show up for y'all. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And we'll see y'all next week. And like always, it's love, peace, and soul.
Bye, y'all.
Like Soul Train, baby.